I genuinely think that people don't realize how deeply microaggressions and misgendering affect trans people in like every facet of life. So here's the tiny example. I auditioned slash interviewed for this film intensive, and one of the things I talked about in my interview was being a gender fluid actor and wanting to find affirmative spaces to tell queer narratives. One of the administrators who has her pronouns in her email signature pushes me on to the final round with this email that misgenders me 3 different times. My pronouns are in my email signature, my Zoom name, my resume, my application, and on my film reel. So I respond cordially and I add this. Before I've even met anyone for this final interview, I've had to correct an administrator in front of her boss, and I've already had to be on the defense defending my own identity. This just creates an awkward power dynamic that could have been completely avoided. And depending on this person's response, it can either be a non-issue or it puts me at a major disadvantage. This is something cis people just do not deal with. And it's also really easy to get someone's pronouns right, especially when you're typing them out.
So, just a guess, I don't think they're going to hire this person.
No, that's yeah. Yeah, but apparently it's really easy to get someone's pronouns right, Brad. So I don't see why they wouldn't hire them.
I'm sorry.
It's very easy.
Look, I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't really accept the non-binary thing at all. But moreover, you have a beard and chest hair, and you're going to be upset that people might mistakenly refer to you as he, him. That seems kind of unreasonable.
Well, it is grammatically incorrect. So it would be different. Like if this video was about an actual trans person with gender dysphoria, even I would still take issue with like the whole dramatic surrounding it. But this is a person who goes by grammatically incorrect pronouns. No, no, bad word there that people are going to get them wrong. So I don't understand why they don't understand that this is not easy to get your pronouns correctly because your pronouns go against everything we've been taught since the 6th grade.
Yeah. But also, even if you do get them wrong in a couple places, it's just not a good idea to like correct someone and be a Karen about it when you're applying for a job. I will tell this to young writers because my background is in newspaper writing and I published in a lot of big places. And so young writers will ask me for advice. And I will tell them, make yourself the easiest person to work with so that an editor has just the easiest experience. Accept edits, don't fuss about headlines, like don't make yourself a pain to work with, and they are much more likely to keep hiring you to write for their papers or their outlets. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, I'm sure this is a tolerant, inclusive, woke company. I'm sure they would be just fine with your non-binary identity. But for you to be nitpicking about little things sends the message that you're going to be difficult to work with, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the company supports them because he even said, or she, sorry, see, even I'm messing it up because they even said that they went on a whole tangent about being a non-binary, person in this interview, and they still pushed them to the next round. So I'm really struggling with this, but it's fine. So clearly the company is supportive, and it's just a mistake because we're all human, but this goes to show how detrimental this ideology is to live by because you're consistently sourcing validation and trying to control other people's actions to your own detriment.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to succeed if you're this focused on what other people are thinking and saying about you, because now you just lost an opportunity because of your incessant need for validation.
So I agree with you. I think, though, this relates to a broader issue, and this video spawned a bigger conversation about this kind of topic. So let me read you a headline from CNBC that was floating around. Resumes including they, them pronouns are more likely to be overlooked, comma, new report finds. And it says, according to a new report from business.com, over 80% of non-binary people believe that identifying as non-binary would hurt their job search. Similarly, 51% believe their gender identity has affected their workplace experience very or somewhat negatively. And people had thoughts about this. And so they actually went a step further. They sent business.com sent 2 identical phantom resumes to 180 job postings. And then they tested whether they were identical, except one of them had they, them, and one had no pronouns, I believe. And so the phantom resume that included the they, them pronouns received 8% less interest. Now, That doesn't seem to be a very scientific or large finding. And also the earlier point about how, well, they say that they believe it would be hurt as being non-binary isn't scientific. To just ask people, do they feel that they would be discriminated against, doesn't actually tell you anything about real world discrimination. But just on the premise, because technically it would be illegal to discriminate against somebody for having they them pronouns, because gender identity is in the Civil Rights Act now. However, to me, and I tweeted this and people were like a little mad about it, but I said, to me, they them pronouns are a near 100%, not a 100%, but probably a 99% proxy for like a toxic leftist politically that I would not want to work with. And so there's probably some exception out there, but generally speaking, I do think, and I'm not admitting to anything in the real world, but hypothetically, I can see why somebody would discriminate against an employee with they, them pronouns, because to me, it tells me you're probably ultra woke and probably horrible to work with.
Right. And I believe in, because I do interview, so I don't, discriminate based off of any of that just because I believe in the exception. So I will always bring somebody into the interview, but I understand the concern that once you get into the interview, it's going to turn into something like the video we just watched, like consistent corrections focusing on what other people are doing around you rather than the work or the task that's at hand. So I don't disagree with the, idea that somebody with they them pronouns may be more inclined to act in a way that is not conducive to a good working environment, because at the end of the day you can make up a new identity and then say you're oppressed if you put that identity on a resume, and that's really what being non-binary is nowadays. It is a identity that was made up a few years ago and now is claiming oppression status. It's like, no wonder people are confused looking at your resume, because this is new and it also doesn't make much sense.
It's also politically coded. So to me,
Right.
You might as well put Dem/Ocrat on your bio, on your resume, right? And so it's not wrong, or at least it's not the same kind of thing as discriminating against somebody for being non-binary is akin to discriminating against somebody for their political ideology, I think. And discriminating against somebody for their politics, maybe I'm not a huge fan depending on the context, but it's not like discriminating against someone for being black, because you choose which party or which ideas to align yourself with. You don't choose the pigment of your skin. So it's not like a discrimination in the same kind of way.
Well, yeah, and the ideas that you align yourself with are indicative of how you work. So I wouldn't see this as discrimination. I would see this as an employer's right to hire someone based off of what they see fit for their company. But again, I always, I'm on the side of the the exception. So I mean, I have a friend that's claimed to be non-binary. I don't agree with it, but we're great friends and we disagree on that one issue. Would I hire her because she lets me call her because she can, whatever? Yeah, I would, because I think that she would be a great worker. But do I agree with her identity? No. So I would say don't discriminate based off of it, but ask good questions in the interview.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But also, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, if maybe don't lead with it. Like,
yes,
just as a matter of advice, maybe just it can come out in the interview or after you've started meeting people. Actually, I prefer to have neutral pronouns, but leading with it sends a signal that I don't think is the signal you want to send as a job applicant.
Yeah.